Okay, where the hell are we going? What about what about we start with where we finished? Uh, um, so we're talking about dimensionality of a character, centered character mixes up, and the characters in the world or situation. Okay, and there's a relationship. Uh, if you're at the level of feeling as opposed to thinking about feeling, actual feeling, then it's pretty easy to begin to feel the world you're in. Okay, right? So that pattern. Are there any comments on that? Questions or observations, or something occurred to you this week about this? It's good basic then. Any now you can open your mic if you like. Anybody,
Well,
anything.
I'd say I'm using being uncomfortable as a reminder that that maybe that's when I look to see if I'm uh working with the situation that I'm in, or maybe my idea of the situation is small or something like that. So when I start feeling uncomfortable, I try to, use that as my trigger to start processing and looking into the situation.
Okay, so I'm uncomfortable. Kenny, the body, me, I'm uncomfortable. That's where you're starting.
Or the mind, or yeah.
Okay. Kenny's I mind. Uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you go to the situation. See what's going on in the situation. And then reference back. Yeah, you can do it both ways. You could say, I'm uncomfortable. Let me hang out with the I, then I'm uncomfortable, or the centered one, character, we call it, uh, and see about being uncomfortable, comfortable there. And we hang out there. We go that way. Or Kenny's bouncing off of the situation, double checking the situation, and then eventually it'll come back to the center. Both ways. That so yeah. Oh, by the way, Kenny, for his, remember I told you folks some Fridays ago, find something dumb to do. Okay, and dumb is probably not a polite word. Uh, dumb would be Susan chopping wood. Okay. So it's not really dumb, but using something simple, uh, daily, ordinary as a reference for processing. Like Kenny's been knife throwing. Uh, that's cool because there's a character, and now the character's in a situation. And so he's playing with catching the difference between the activity of the character and the information of the situation in inputting. He's starting to get clear on which is which. Kenny, do you want to add anything to clarify what I'm trying to say there?
Um, so yeah, I mean, it really is, it's my dumb practice. I picked it up, it's not that important, not going to change the world, but I use it um I'm trying to develop my sensitivity, I think. And I go and I relax and I kind of line up to it and I start throwing, and then something caught, my arm starts hurting, or I'm doing something weird with my body, and I go, why am I doing that? And then I start processing.
So anyway, I think he's bouncing between character has something to do, and then there's a point where situation starts to show that it's there, and he's just playing back and forth, getting distinct with those two. Okay. Yeah. So anything quote dumb, swing a bow can, even if you say, well, I don't care about swords or something. that's fine. But if you got nothing better to do, swing a bogey. That could be your dumb practice. If you do it as a process, okay. Um,
What's good enough for OSensei?
yeah, good enough for him. Should be all right. And I don't think I want to get into that story. He would get irked when people were swinging and stuff. And if you understand, for him, it was a process, and he saw them not really doing a process. He would say, don't do that. Okay. A lot of people, anyway, enough on that story. Somebody on this, anything? Observations, questions, problems, insights?
This is Justin in Miami. Hi everybody. I wanted to piggyback on what Ken was saying about being uncomfortable in a situation, because I noticed something along those lines in the past couple weeks, but this was my body reacting to emotional or mental pressure. For example, if I was having a heart-to-heart with my wife, I'd notice if there's a lot of pressure or the subject matter becomes intense, my toe would tap or my leg would get a little restless. And that would be a cue for me to settle a little bit deeper. And then I found, not to anyone's surprise probably, but I would hear a little bit better. I would speak a little bit more clearly when I got underneath that, what was bugging me, if you will, just on the body level of things.
No, the doorbell theory.
Yeah. So, oh, well, my leg's getting restless. Something must be up here.
Yeah.
I'm boxed in.
It must be her. Yeah. Yeah, those are daily things that we can insert in when you think of it, like he thought of it then, whatever. Yeah, if you're so inclined, play a little bit, nothing major, right? You settle a bit and realize, hey, I'm hearing better. Wow, what just happened? Well, I think in settling a bit better, you heard better and you talked better. So your red to red started to kick in. Yeah, of course. Right. Somebody? Something?
I think we had a hand raised. Grace?
Sorry, that was a mistake.
Too late.
What just happened there?
Sorry, Sensei, I raised my hand by mistake.
Oh, okay. We'll erase you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody, anything before we move on?
Hi, Danny here.
Yeah, Danny.
I started working with my vegetables, and I've been smoking chilies. Now, the first time I smoked the chilies, it was a fantastic success. If you haven't had smoked chili, you haven't lived yet.
Does that get you high in New Zealand, Danny? I just
No. We have to do the same as Californians and smoke weed. But it doesn't. But anyway, my wife was incredibly happy with my efforts because it was her idea to smoke them. And now the second time I did it, which was today, it was a goddamn failure. It was terrible, and I burnt myself. I got very frustrated, burnt a whole lot of wood, and I realized that I hadn't prepared. I had just gone, okay, I've done this situation. I know what I'm doing. I'm pretty good. Said about doing it, but I really wasn't there. I was thinking about other things. So it took me quite a while actually to realize what was going on for myself. But after I sat back and thought about it, I realized that I hadn't. It's a simple matter, really, and I thought I'd been extremely successful, and therefore I could repeat it. But in fact, I couldn't. I had to still align to the process.
Yes, yeah. That's what Susan was bringing up very strongly, this alignment first. First you align to it. You see, okay, even at my glorified rank in Aikido. I can't go on the mat with a few guys and just remember I've got that ring, or carry the piece of paper, or remember I used to be good. I have to get to that level. Now I'm a little faster than the norm in Aikido of getting to a better level, but I have to do that. I can't get out there with a bunch of guys with my memory of it or something. I have to align to where I'm at and where I'm going, and then click, 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 click. I can move pretty fast with this process, but I still have to do it. Okay. And that's when I mentioned a story. I saw OSensei do it because I wasn't sure at that time whether the great universe just hit you with a magic feather and you're suddenly, whatever the spiritual words they use, suddenly, what's the word? No, what's the word?
Enlightened.
Yeah, instantly enlightened. And that's it. You got it made. You don't have to do anything anymore. You're enlightened. But I saw him go out in the morning, try a move, and then check the uke. And if the uke just sort of crumbled but didn't go down, he'd go, okay. And then he'd do something. He had his process for lining up here. He'd do something for a minute and then watch out because you were going down then. But just that, then he went through a process. That's what I saw clearly. He just didn't say, hey, I'm OSensei. You're supposed to go down. Okay. So he checked himself. Didn't see the guy go down, did a process. Bing, now he's at the OSensei level. You're going down. And that was very interesting to see because it answered a big question of mine, whether the universe just taps you with a feather and that's it, you got it made, or if there's some process that goes on here. So for me, very informative. And so my line of questioning with him wasn't on Sensei, do you bend the wrist this way or that way? Do you hold your little finger up or your ring finger? I didn't get into that. It was like, tell me about your process. Tell me about how the universe works from your viewpoint. Okay, so I was already interested in the bigger scope of things and the process thereof. And that's why he liked me. He liked my questions. Anyway, thank you, Danny. I think the drug thing, I used to think, mushrooms or something, magic mushrooms, that it seems to me back in the day, the witch doctors, the moon, give me a word. Shaman. The shaman would prepare for such an event. It'd be, I don't know, the full moon at this new month or something. And they go, okay, I've been planning all month. I'm ready for it. Now they take the magic mushroom and they'd have an experience. Then it turned out to be social. Hey, it's Wednesday night. You got any mushrooms, man? And give me some extra for tomorrow night. It lost its, they weren't lining up, my sense of it. People weren't lining up to an important process potential. It become too, I don't know, social or something. Anyway, that was always my view, maybe my potential bitch about it.
It lost its sacredness.
Thank you. Yeah. Lost its sacredness. That's a good word. Okay. Why are we doing this? These are the two great forces of creation. We could have depicted them different. We could have said there's a great center, there's a great circle, talked about them in different ways. The great he, the great she, the great mind, the great stuff of body, not body, the universal stuff body. So we can use different words there. We're still allowed to use different words. To look at the same thing with a little different angle, okay? So what are we doing here? by going into finer dimensions of self and realizing the situation or world we're in also has finer dimensions and playing a balance game with them, self is here, and hopefully, as we sense and sense finer, we'll begin to realize that self and sensing are very close. Maybe even we could say the same thing in finer. I don't know if I said that well enough. Is it like easy the eye? I don't understand, or I don't know what's going on in the world, whatever. I don't know anything about me. Easy the eye. Now take a little bit at first, but shouldn't I? Well, easy that, easy, and we kind of settle down to get to another level. Easy the eye, and after a bit, feeling of things will be more predominant. What color is that? Red. Red will start to be fuller. Don't hold me to these colors, right? But feeling, the ability of feeling. And we get into a deeper feeling, okay? And we got there by easy the eye, we start to get into a different level. As we continue to easy the eye, moving on to the next level, drop down here, easy. Now, let's say sense feeling. Sense feeling. That's a bit finer than feeling. Sense feeling. Again, you can make up your own words on your own map. This is an example map. We hang out there for a bit and see, sense feel. The world we're in, or the situation we're in, okay? So that we get this back and forth thing. As we continue to easy and sense, we get into sensing, continues finer sensing, sensing and self. As we begin to realize that we're involved with character and situation, potentially you'll begin to catch that you are not this and that, but you're present with it. Self is present with it. Okay. Once we get out of the control freak eye who's trying to control everything, easy the eye. And that sensing, that finer heading into self. Self is aware of these things going on, allows them to go on, and they begin to show a harmony and relationship, and that's where the color example came in from. Settling a bit easy, it began to show, hey, there's a relationship between this level of me, okay, as Justin was saying, and the ability of talking to my wife and hearing her better. Starting to get at that level, that's what happened. Continue, there's more and more and more and more and more. So the whole universe can show the fullness of center, the fullness of circle, the fullness of this relationship. Okay. Am I getting lost yet? Where are we? Let's see. Self. Many names for self, I think. Okay, there's truer self, soul, probably another word. Consciousness, word consciousness. What other words? Noah, give me some words. Self, soul, consciousness.
Atman from
What?
India. Atman, the true self from India.
Okay.
Most original self.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Good, thank you. So
The Tao?
any,
The Tao. The Tao.
okay,
This is Tija Sensei.
oh, Tisha, oh, yeah, Tisha and the Tao, yes. So other cultures in their development realized there was this thing, this self, and they put their own words on it. Okay, it's a bit elusive at first because the energies that spiral in making up character and the energies that spiral in making up realm uh, spiral us in. Okay, so very hard to distinguish this clear I, self, finer self, because of this wrapped in relationship we have with these forces. So let's see. Does that do anything? Oh, since they like that basic diagram there. And I look at it like the center and the situation. That as we get more balance with the center, character, and the situation, then in there is a clearer self. Okay. Now, at first, you may not be able to feel it because we're still sort of wound up with these energies. But as we continue, finer dimensions of character and the situation we're in, or vice versa, finer situation, who am I in that situation? You can go either way on it. Okay. So my preference is center first to circle. Now, lately, circle's been coming in very strong, wanting to catch up a bit more. Some people probably do it the other way around. Wada like circle to center. Okay. So Sensei did a hell of a lot of center work, but eventually the circle part had to affect him. And he had a bit of a sense of it even early, but it really was showing gangbusters. And so he caught up real fast, but it was in his later years that it really, really caught up. Probably around pre-war or early war time in Iwama. I think he was heavily working on that. And it was heavily showing. That's why his Aikido pre-war was different than after the war, because this other part, this balance because he had been so well centered, circled, and playing a lecture with the circle to catch up, his performance, how he did things, was different. And for the Aikido historians, a lot of people couldn't see that. They saw him pre-war as being a little more centered. They could kind of see, hey, this guy would bounce around, boom. When the second part starts to come in and harmonize, then that power, that force, that aliveness, that part of creation is in effect. And he said, I didn't have to work so hard. This is doing more of the work. I used to do all the work. Now this is doing a lot of the work. I can kind of take it easy and stuff would happen. But people couldn't see him bounce around as much. And they thought, oh no, he was better pre-war. And he'd get a little, well, he thought that was hilarious, but he also get a bit irked that they were too stupid to see the difference, that they didn't have the eye to see the difference and why. That's kind of an important juncture in his career. Other things he did at this time when this situational stuff was starting to show, because it's also, he would indicate that in his game here as being more feminine. Then he started to talk really funny. He talked about, hey, my body is looking more feminine. And people didn't know what the hell he was talking about. I think he did that on a TV show or a radio show. Jack, do you remember? Doesn't matter. But it's like, what a strange way of talking. He was just trying to say, look, as I allow the forces of this piece of it, it has a hair more femininity to it, and it begins to show through my body. He didn't mean he was changing sexes. He didn't mean that, but that he was affected, and again had a more and more appreciation of the femininity of things. Okay. Anyway, sideline story. Where the hell am I? So what we're trying to do is by balancing the situation with the character, then that will eventually be self. And whatever you want to start calling it to begin with, fine. I, okay, fine. Now easy the I. And there's self there, but it may not be clear enough we can hear it talk or experience its presence. You can feel things going on with the center and with these two lines, the character and the situation, but you may not hear clearly what self is saying, okay? That's why it's kind of elusive. What would happen is if we continue and continue and continue dimensionality with the two forces, the self is getting freer all the time. Every time we move into the next dimension or level of these two main energy beats, it's a continuation of sort of easy the eye, although we wouldn't call it that there, but it's the same sense, easy the eye. But don't I have to do something here? No, hush. Easy the eye. Okay. And after a while, the self should start to make itself known more and more. Did I say that okay? Did that come across? Somebody want to throw rocks at me?
I just say it's one of the subtler concepts we've worked with. So, you know, the more you can say, the better.
I'll have to read this again, Richard. It's time to pursue what you want to pursue, even if you have no idea now about how to make that happen. Tija, help me here. Give me a word. The word is...
Bob, if I can just throw in a quick one. I studied with Joe Pass, top guitarist and ever. And he said...
I'm sorry, I missed that. Say again?
Sorry. I studied with Joe Pass, top guitarist, jazz guitarist ever.
Oh, okay.
And when he got done, he wasn't he was one of those guys could do, couldn't teach. And he said at the end, he just said, well, just play it the way you play it. And I said to Samuels, you know, that didn't seem like the greatest instruction. He said, are you kidding? The top guitarist in the world just told you to play it the way you play it. And it really changed my music. I don't know if that makes any sense. I mean, it just really gave
a little bit
encouragement
different
to do
topic.
what your orator said.
Yeah, let me shift the, bring up OSensei again. OSensei told me clearly in OSensei weird talk that when he was talking about his experiences that he told everybody about, he said, I was talking about my experiences, OSensei's experiences, to give them sort of an example. I didn't expect them to have my experiences. They should have their own experiences. Does that kind of make sense? Is from what you said also?
Just play it the way you play it, or just
don't try to play his way. Okay, you might be a twin brother from a previous life, but still, you're Richard Moon now. Play it the way you want to play it, and if it's very similar, hey, fine, as long as you're playing it the way that you play it. This process is very personal.
Maybe
personal.
Just one more piece, if I might, and it's back to your teaching golf and trying to get him to just relax and do it and not effort on it. And Tej, maybe you can come back in now, but I mean, for me, not what was Rumi's comment? I want to sing like the birds sing without caring who's listening or what they think. And even though I do, I'd like to be able to sing like that. So, Tej, yeah?
All right. Sensei, I want to lean back in for just a moment to something that you started with in talking about the similarities there of self and sensing. You started talking about that. So this is very interesting. What are their similarities? Because we're kind of talking here about the self in the capital S word, more the universal towards the what we sometimes or you talk as the original self.
That's the direction or the goal, if you would. Yeah. Okay.
That's the direction. And sensing is so interesting in relationship to that, because sensing doesn't move through the cognitive process. It's more like a quality of direct knowing.
Yeah. Direct experiencing, could I say?
Direct experiencing, it's direct, knowing and experiencing that way, I think in the way that I'm using the word is synonymous. And so sensing has that quality. Self also, you can't be in, this is where the paradoxes of language come in, right?
Let me jump in for a sec.
Yeah.
I was talking to Teja before, and he brought up a lot of potential here. And along with it are the paradoxes. So go ahead with the paradoxes.
Yeah, right. Well, whenever we're talking about universal self, is like what my Zen master said to me once. He says, in talking about it, you're always going to be stepping your foot in it. There's no way to completely talk about it in a lucid way. There have been millions or thousands of words and many volumes written about this. I think Kenny a few weeks ago was talking about this in terms of non-duality. But the self doesn't process through the cognitive, even though the cognitive is alive. So there's a contradiction right there. But the potential is that in connecting with this, as we move through these layers and develop the greater sense of self through the development of situation and character, there's greater potential, because in a way we're accessing, feeling the resources. So OSensei must have really connected with the resources in order to demonstrate this in a material way.
So now you know.
Sorry about that.
Now you know why, talking to the audience, now you know why I was sort of hesitant and why that thing caught my attention. I was like, knowing I was going to put my foot in it and being like, oh God. Okay. But so be it.
It doesn't mean that we should shy away from it either. We don't need to shy away from it. It's just because it's a contradiction and a paradox sometime, in a way that the prefrontal cortex mind doesn't understand. Doesn't mean that it's not experienceable. It's not knowable in that way.
Yeah. Using the color scheme, what color? Whatever that color is, what color is that?
Sky blue.
Sky blue. The sky blue guy doesn't really understand red. You know?
Yeah.
Not really. He can study it and whatever, but it's not red being experienced as red. So something simple like that, yeah. So that's why I, in a certain way, denounce that I. Not that it's a bad guy. It's a part. But a lot of people try to run everything from that part. All right. I don't understand what is feeling. Well, easy, and you'll naturally get to feeling, but I don't understand it. Oh, well, you don't have to. I have to shut up for a minute. Sit there. Breathe. Play a game of opening. Something. You'll touch it. It's there. Okay. But how do I know it's going to be there? Well, screw you. Get out of my class. Kind of thing. You're too dumb to deal with. I'm sorry. I'll try to come back in 38 lifetimes and see if you're ready for this. Anyway. But I come from the harsh school. Sorry. I don't know where I'm at. What we've done with simple practices, for example, easy the eye. Okay. I promise we'd move a bit. Here it goes. Arm raise. Okay. You ready? Arm raise. Okay. Then I play this game of, okay, easy, settle down, easy the eye. Same thing. And maybe the second one, you don't notice any difference. I know it's different, but if you don't notice, that's fine. Easy. Settle down, settle down, settle down. And arm. Ooh, that felt what? No, I don't want to move over. They can see my arm. There we go. Okay. And it feels longer. There's a sense that it's a sense. There's a feeling that it's longer. It's definitely smoother. Okay. Okay, let's call that number 2. It's longer, smoother, or whatever you guys experience, you folks. Okay, easy, settle down some more. Easy, the eye, whoever the eye is. Now, easy that, easy. And again. And maybe at first you don't notice, but on the second one, you should start to begin to notice. If not, notice it on the third one. Okay. If you're really slow, that's fine. Notice it on the fourth one or the fifth one, but come on, it is changing. Someplace pick up on it. Okay. What I noticed with that one is it didn't start with the front of my arm. It didn't start with the front of my arm. Something was more in my back, like it came through my back, like something behind my shoulder was active, some kind of energy flow or something, I don't know. And there it was, an arm lifted. So it's a little bit bigger than my body. It's not just my body. Something that's exterior to the body or pre-body, or maybe it's part of an energy body. Whoa, I don't know. We'll see. Boom. Okay. What we're doing here by easing the eye and continuing such a practice is to build up a success rate. I don't think that's quite the right phrase. Noah, give me a word here. The success rate, where you realize next is better and next is better.
Confidence. Building confidence.
Yeah, confidence. There's another
Little
word.
virtuous cycle of
You're building up
confidence.
feedback. Okay, I know after doing this that if I relax, it's going to be better.
Familiarity.
If I settle, it's going to be better. I don't care if I'm chopping wood, throwing a ball. I just know if I settle, it's going to be better.
Trust.
I've got no doubts about that. How do I know? Well, it's because I did this 3 times in a row, and each one was better because I settled. I'm happy with that. I don't distrust it later. Well, what if it doesn't happen on Wednesdays? What if it only happens on Tuesdays? Come on, people. So that
It's a confidence. It's a confidence based on direct experience.
Okay, because of the direct experience, you get confidence going to work. I don't question it anymore. I don't question a dimensional theory. You say it goes on finer and finer and finer and finer. I'll say sure.
Yeah, Bob.
Okay, no problem.
Bob,
yeah.
What I noticed is that the first time, I was a clear sense of owning it. I personally was lifting my arm.
I do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as I got more settled, there was this phenomenon that happened that I was just, you know, a conduit for, but there was not that personal ownership as much as the experience.
Yeah. And then as we continue, this is where here in the middle, it's almost like I'd like to put a piece of glass here to say the glass is self. And the glass allows the energies of this and the energies of that, and it doesn't interfere. It's present. It is aware and it experiences those, but it is not those energies. It is itself, clear glass self, whatever name you want to give to it. I just said something big. Did you catch that? You look blank.
No,
Get that blank look off your face.
Do it one more time.
So as we play with dimensionality of character and dimensionality of situation, begin to realize those two have a relationship. As you continue, easy the eye or sensing finer and finer and finer, and self starts to really show that it's there. One way of looking at it, it's like a piece of glass, and it's present. So when a character is being affected by a situation and vice versa, situation to the character, and those comings and goings of the in the universe creation, in the universe, the energy move of those two great forces, the glassy self, if you would, I'm gonna put my piece of glass there, that's self. So self is present, allowing the natural harmony of those two forces we're calling character and situation. Now you're catching a piece of OSensei. Okay? He was very clear, glassy, and was well versed on the forces by this time, and just allowed the natural harmony of things. So that's why I say you can't defeat me, because I'm present with the natural harmony of things, and because the harmonious forces aren't going to let you hurt me. So at which time weird shit would happen. Because he was very glassy. Is the glass view screw you up, or does it help any?
Sensei, this is Lauren. I think the glass is a really wonderful image, because if you think about it, Misogi brings us more and more clarity.
Wait.
We're having a hardware issue.
Come on, dear, work. One more time.
I think that the glass, this image of glass that you've just articulated is wonderful, because the Misogi makes the glass clearer and clearer. It blocks less and less. More and more can go through.
That's what unwinding is. Easy, let a finer level of energies and a finer level of energies, character situation, easy. And the self will show more and more after a bit. And you'll actually realize yourself feeling aware feeling. That's Misogi. Yeah. Misogi is not trying to clean up your thoughts in that sky blue realm. Get to finer, settle to finer, more open. Include the depth, because the old tendency in the human condition to just do upper on all of this. Be all inclusive. Not only did Bruce Lee say, hey guys, roots are very important. You guys spend too much time with the blossoms and this stuff. You got to catch roots. OSensei also said root, critical. Okay, just because in the human condition or certain levels of consciousness, we do tend to be just more aware and not feeling, experiencing. A feeling, again, sounds like too heavy a physical word, but there's a sense feeling. Okay, so I don't mean physical feeling when I say that. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so what we're trying to do with a lot of this stuff is get balanced so that the clear self that is here will begin to show more and more that it's there till even you realize it's there and it's you. Okay. So bring back a dumb game I used to play. Sitting on my couch in my apartment in Tokyo, right? Practice dying. And how I would set it up was I just make believe I was dying. I would imagery, cut my wrist, and I bleed to death. Now, as I'm bleeding to death, I'd say, okay. And if I thought about, oh, but you got to pick up your laundry tomorrow, I say, no, man, I'm dead. There's no laundry anymore to pick up. Well, what about the gas bill at the end of the month? My world doesn't exist. There is no apartment gas bill for me, maybe for my wife, but I'm dead. I'm not here. With the background question of who am I? So whenever I went into Robert's, I was at least at a Robert level then, Robert's thinking about Robert stuff or the world Robert was in, no, that's not here anymore. Who am I now? Okay, so that was a game I used to use to try to tap this self. And at first, in some dimension, it'd be like, okay, I'm not a human physical body, but I'm an energy body. Okay, in what kind of world? Oh, in an energy world. Oh, okay. But you don't exist there either. Now, who are you? So whatever next cropped up, I would die it out and continue with this quest for, well, who are you really kind of thing. You're not Robert, the physical guy who hangs out at the dojo all day. That doesn't exist anymore. Who are you really? Something else would come up. Yeah. But that's all gone. Who are you really? I was just trying to tap that. So that was one dumb game I played for a while. I don't know if I lost you. Let me see what other things I had here. That guy still, and that guy's a third. Oh, there's a third one. Let's see what
Question, Bob?
that one. Okay. I'm not sure what more to clarify. I know it's not been great, but again, as I think Richard said, this is a big bite. But most of you have a. Go ahead.
Ask a question if it doesn't take you away from the direction you want to go, but you've used the word soul and the word self kind of distinctly, but I'm not sure I could understand the difference or could feedback the difference. Is it
I'm saying they're the same word.
About now?
They're the same word. This depends who's using the word. Is a Christian using it? Soul. Tija, your word?
Atma?
Tao. The Tao.
Tao.
Chinese fellow uses it, that's the word. I'm just saying self.
Okay,
the
thank you.
glassy one. Yeah.
Good, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sensei, this is Mike from New Zealand.
Yes, Mike.
You were using that little question of who are you. I actually went through that. It was a business management course, so it wasn't taking things to the level that of where you're going, but you would sit in the middle of a group of people and they would continuously ask you, who are you? And you'd say, well, I'm Mike, and I'm a father, and I've got 2 children, and then they would say, and who are you? and they just kept on and on with this process. And although we weren't destining towards the depth of what you're talking about,
Pure
it was
self.
clear that you were peeling layers off each time that they asked you the question. You couldn't come back with the same answer.
Yeah, the whole thing is like an onion, right? Misogi, whatever form of peeling off that in following the onion theory. Yeah. So it doesn't matter, I don't think, how you do it as long as you're doing it. If you give it the Chinese name, but you're doing it, hey, if you're doing it the Japanese, you give it the Japanese name, do it. Okay. One reason I tend not to use foreign language is because a lot of people get caught up in, oh, that Chinese guy knows what that word means and I don't, therefore, and they put themselves down sometimes. So Yankee words, we'll make up our own words if we have to, just as long as we can communicate. Okay. Don't get locked in on some of the words sometimes. I don't know if this fits in, but I happened to jot it down in my notes to remind me. I used to teach meditation in my earlier years in Mountain View, and had a Aikido student, and he said to me, "Gee, I'd like to go to your meditation class, but I'm married." And I said, "What?" He said, "Well, I have a good sex life with my wife. We both enjoy having sex with each other. Therefore, I cannot meditate." And I thought, what the hell is his concept about meditate? You see how words can screw us over? He thought meditating was going to screw up his sex life. I mean, did he know who he was talking to? I mean, I'm sorry, this is my heyday. I was very social. I don't know where the hell he was coming from. But watch out for certain words and stuff. They block you out. Okay? So, and I don't know if that story made any sense here, but most of you are watching, or all of you are watching, know that you have something akin to a self, that you're much more than I'm Bobby, or I'm Mikey with 2 kids and whatever. Yeah, but who are you really, gang? It doesn't surprise you any. You, along with me, haven't played it out to its fullest, but we go, oh yeah, of course, because you have this inner sense that you're more. So if I say to you, hey, when you die, you're still going to exist, I'm sure virtually every one of you would say, oh yeah, because you have this sense that you're more than just this apparent. Okay, but we're here, and if we use the apparent and the balance thereof as a reference, finer sense of self can show, or finer self can show. Okay, to the point where it's really alive. What word? Energies are alive. The clear self is not of the energies. It has its own, OSensei called it vitality. Now, again, just a word, vitality. Anyway, just to say that this glassy self is alive itself, but it's not alive the way the energies are alive. It has its own setup. It's its own piece. Okay? So if I say the great he is a piece and the great she is a piece, or the great center is a piece, the great circle is a piece, however you want to say, great yin, great yang, however you want to say it, and they all have energy. The clear self on its own is alive onto itself. Okay. I don't know where we're going. Huh?
Actually, Sensei, you don't have to go anywhere now. You've kind of summed it up Most
Really?
eloquently.
Thank God. Because I tell you, this was a worrying week for me. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where I'm going. And I thought about doing more exercises for people. I thought, I don't want to do that. Sorry, I promise, but sorry. Raise your arm. Okay. But in basic Aikido, Kacha, quick moment. You free, Kacha? Just to remind Aikido people, can you come in here? Yeah, okay. I'll have to run through this quickly. I settle a bit. As I settle a bit, I kind of feel ground is important to me. Okay, easy. As I continue to settle, okay. Feels like back is important. So right there, I kind of realized again, oh, it's not just frontal, but that there's some back in play. There's some back in play of me, the character. Okay. Now, after a while, it'll start as you get a better centered, better sense of character self. The situation will start to show that it's also active, always has been, but at first we tend not to notice it unless you're coming in from the opposite side where your situation first and later centered character will begin to show. So again, two ways of coming at things. So let's say I'm at the level where the situation, boom. So I'm stay centered and grounded and all of that. This sense of Katya, that this, go ahead again, one more, that this foot and her hip are more active. So I'm trying to tune into the situation because I'm more settled. And don't lose that. If you lose this, you come into her hip and her foot and stuff. Don't do that. Retain or stay centered. Okay. And the situation. I realized she paused. The situation paused. Okay. So because it paused, I sort of paused here a bit till she could catch up or whatever brought them together that way. So now my situational sense is getting better. As it gets better, I might kick back to the centered character. Say, what does that do for you? I feel a little freer in movement because of that. And now back to the situation. Oh shit, energies are moving around. All right. I just could sense energy circularly moving around. Yeah. And she's agreeing because she's catching that she's caught up in that circle. So we're trying to, thank you, go cook and pour me some wine. I'm just trying to remind Aikido people that we're doing the same thing. Well, I like to do this thing. Otherwise, if we just do the human form, we're just doing what everybody does. And it's not inner developmental work. There's, after a bit, no dimensionality. Oh, you'll get a bit because you've got to stay grounded a bit. Okay. And some of you better ones will figure out thinking about the technique is not as good as feeling the technique. Let's continue. You're just beginning. That was kindergarten. We got grammar school, high school, college. Okay. So I like to present Aikido and how we practice in this format. Otherwise, for me, it's not OSensei's Aikido. Okay. It's just another sport. You see? So when people, we keep hearing the same old, for me, dumb question, but they're asking about whether we can hang out there with MMA guys. You know, I said, I don't care. I'm doing this inner process. I'm developing this way. I'm not into that outer. Now I got to punch harder, and I got to punch harder out there. I'm not into it. I'm into this. Okay, and once even those people realize you're doing something different for a different reason, and you give them a quick example, they won't bug you. Okay. I always make a joke. If I go to I've been to a jiu-jitsu conference. I think some of my friends are professors of jiu-jitsu. So, and I don't bump heads with those guys. When I present, I say something like, yeah, we learn to settle, da, 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 da. And then when we go home, we don't punch our wives out because we're more settled. And you know what I see in the audience? A bunch of women going, meaning they understand jiu-jitsu, punch their wives out. Well, football players punch their ladies out, dear God. And I see a few guys go, those are the punchers. But that, yeah, you're tough, but you go home tough and you kick the shit out of your pregnant wife. And this has happened. Okay. I'm not interested in that. So I talk about what I do and what happens here. They don't bug me anymore because they know they sort of missed something. They may not come into what I'm doing, but they don't want to contend with me. I'm not doing that. I'm doing this. So if you're not clear you're doing this, of course they're going to be on your case. Okay? You said know how great martial arts you are. Of course they're going to say, oh, really? Well, let's try it out. I'll do what I have to do if I have to do it. In what manner? I don't know. It'll be at that time in that situation. I haven't the foggiest. Whatever. We'll see. All right? So don't create those situations. In a lot of ways, some of the folks who do Aikido do, because they're still trying to work that exterior out there, boom, get them. And other guys in the business catch that and go, aha, how good are you? I try not to go there because that's not where I want to go. Is that sort of okay? Did I sort of say that right? Very hard to discuss with a lot of Aikido folks, though, because I think they're not clear on direction. Okay. Anyway, I don't want to be in that conversation. Okay. Lauren, yes?
Well, I was just going to say that unless you have something more that you want to cover, you've covered a lot, and it's well past our hour. We could thank you and wish you a good evening.
Let's see if anyone has anything, wants to hang out. Any comments, questions?
Well, people are thinking of their questions. Just to tag onto where you were saying there, I mean, OSensei repeatedly emphasized to us it was not about being strong and felling an opponent, reconciling, the discord in our own minds. And so it did have some martial capabilities, but I think the fact that essential practice got lost is really, I hope you'll forgive me for saying this, but really shown in what I see going on in the way people are training now, as if they missed this opportunity to go internal. Sorry, didn't mean to keep it. Anybody else?
Yeah, those words, I don't know, they become philosophies. Yeah, I know I should be more loving, but fuck them, let's get them. They become loosey-goosey. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Anybody, anything?
Sensei, this is Tisha again.
Yes, sir.
Well, what I really appreciate here is that what you're pointing out is you're actually pointing out a pathway. And when we do things like as simple as the 1 by 2 by, or even just recognizing the different levels of, you know, what you sometimes call as Bob and Robert and Sensei and, you know, Nadeau and Sensei, and that, just to recognize that this is a process, that this is actually a pathway, keeps us from only centering in the head and only in that light blue person. And we get to learn that there are dimensions of ourselves. And then hopefully, as you pointed out today, there's a great potential of coming, well, what to say? I don't want to say come back to, but presence that original self.
Yes, yes, and yes.
So thank you for that.
And again, as we settle more clear, more get glassier, the energies that will naturally be there to mix up the character and the world, or vice versa, the world that'll be there that then facilitate the character, that's yours. That's yours. So the more clearing that you do, trust the energies that are there and are there. Because it's your format. Okay? So you may have major callings on a music, right? A lot of musicians I'll watch. But you may be a string musician. Somebody else is a horn musician. So even within music, there's such a variety of things. And even within particulars, there is a variety. Not all jazz musicians play the same way or something. It's very, in a nice way, very personal, just clear, and things can happen. So people say, I don't know who I am. Oh, time to clear, time to settle, because the energy should be there. And double support, the world you're in should start to show. They're all there and available, but they can't show when we're too locked in. We have to easy clear a bit, unwind, find your own words, so that those energies that are there, we're each in our own universe, one way of saying it. Okay? OSensei told me, I haven't mentioned this already tonight, something like, Nadeau, thank you for appreciating me or loving me or whatever, but make sure you do you. Okay? I did that more than once. So I like his patterns, but now I find me within those patterns. If you get too loosey-goosey, you'll say, I don't have to follow any patterns. I'm a free agent self. And I'm sorry you're not going to make it. I don't want to explain why, but won't go far. There are patterns. We're in creation. We're in the universe. There are certain patterns we follow to get to the clearness of ourself, capital S. Okay? We're not trying to lock you into those things because they're dimensional. The lobster in the lobster trap, I'll have to lay this out one day, is not really a lobster. If he settles, he'll realize, oh, I used to think I was a lobster, but I'm something else here. Okay? Dimensionally, he's not really a lobster. The trap with the wood and string and stuff in the lobster trap is not really dimensionally. You begin to see it as not being a trap, just being a situational outline, something. It's not a trap, because you can go dimensional as the self gets clearer. Okay, so do follow the patterns. Centered, circle, whichever one you're going to use. Okay. And in there is just more of stuff that makes you up. You chose this. Another old different story. So I'm pooping out here.
Thank you so much, Sensei. And thank you everybody for joining us tonight. I think that was a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much, Sensei.
Sounded good.
Thank you, Sensei.
Thank you.
Sensei, have a good night all.
Sensei.
Thank you, Sensei.
Thank you, Sensei.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Great session, Sensei.
Sensei.